is a clinical trial? I'll start with Leanne from Lilly. And what is the definition that you guys use to define a clinical trial?
Yeah, so clinical research or a clinical trial is a scientific study that's conducted in people. So a lot of times when we think about research, we think about scientists in lab coats with a lot of test tubes and things on fire and bubbling liquids and that type of thing. But clinical research is actually testing a potentially new medicine in people. So anybody can volunteer for a clinical trial if you qualify for the parameters of that particular study. And we have some very specific questions that we're trying to answer in a clinical trial. Is this new medication effective? Is it more effective than the current available treatment that's out there? Is it safe? And what are the side effects? It can take more than 10 years to bring a new drug to market because we have to do lots of testing to make sure the drug is safe and effective enough to make it available to the broader public.
Jen and TJ, how would you have described a clinical trial prior to your participation in one?
Before TJ joined his first clinical trial, now he's gone through two, I had no idea what a clinical trial was. I would have probably thought that it was very experimental. You had no hope left, and this might be your last shot, and they were kind of scary to me. I didn't know how well that you could actually really benefit from clinical trials. I thought it was more for the doctors to try new things out. Since our involvement with the two clinical trials now, my perception is totally different. Even if you have a great prognosis and a reasonable treatment plan in place, I would always suggest to everybody, and I do suggest this often, to look and see what clinical trials might be available, because it's amazing the advances that are being made, and it's really changed how I thought, what I thought of a clinical trial, and I couldn't be happier with the results that we've had through ours.
What clinical trials do is they try to find treatments for patients. They try to improve on what's considered standard of care, and they use what kind of Jen was alluding to is there's a possibility that something out there in trial or in development is going to make someone's life either live longer, make someone's life better, make them healthier. And my perception has changed from it's a thing that needs to get done for drug companies to get approval for something to a very viable treatment and something that should be considered as a treatment option every time you go in for some kind of serious diagnosis, whether it's a chronic disease, whether in my case it was potentially terminal. It's an option, and it's an option that most patients don't consider because they're not aware of it.
While 51% of people say they would prefer to hear about clinical trial opportunities from their primary care doctor, only 23% actually do. So how did you find out about clinical trial options?
I was fortunate that I had people that understood how to navigate to the best treatments, and knowing that with the knowledge that clinical trials, at least in the melanoma space, were showing extreme promise in a new type of therapy.
I have a 7-year-old son who has cystic fibrosis, and so we're often looking for different treatment options and opportunities to participate in trials. And because of the kind of breadth of information that is now available thanks to the internet, it almost doesn't seem realistic for a patient to expect a doctor to know everything that there is to know. We want to be able to rely on them and use them as a partner in managing our care, but a lot of people are turning to the internet to look for other people like them and for opportunities to participate in stuff like clinical research.
Yeah, Erin, I think your personal experience is pretty indicative of the population overall. If you and what you guys are sharing too, that if you don't get information, or even if you do get information from your doctor, you probably these days also are going online. We have statistics that show that many people look for healthcare information online. And so our team has created a website called lilytrialguide.com, It has a lot of educational materials about clinical research overall. And then it has a list of all the studies that are recruiting for our research. And you can look on there and actually see if there is a research center near you. You can search by your zip code and see what research is going on near you. We also recommend other websites. The FDA has excellent resources on clinical research, the NIH, and then there's another group called CISCRP, which is a nonprofit organization dedicated to educating the public about clinical research. So one misconception is if you were to put yourself forward for a clinical trial and you find that you don't meet the entry criteria for that trial, then you might think you're not eligible for any trial, for any research study. And that's the misconception I would like to debunk today. Because there are so many different areas of medical research that are happening. If you are interested in participating in that for your own care and for the benefit of others, then consider a different study, because most likely there is some study out there for which you would be eligible, even if you don't meet the criteria for one particular study.
One final comment that I have, as a caregiver and now as a person working in the industry, I know what it takes as a caregiver. My husband cares for me when I'm caring for my son. And so thank you to all of you who are doing this work, that's being these fearless caregivers, because it's your support that actually helps to make this all possible. So thank you to Lily, thank you to Jen and TJ, thank you to all of you. Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Big round of applause.